Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. Chris Williams here, licensed marriage and family therapist. I also have licensed psychologist Jill Hubbard and pastor, author Jim Burns. So glad that you guys are with me today.
Great to be with you. I just feel dumb, though, because you guys are like licensed. And stuff. I have a driver's license. What is the? I could show you my driver's license.
Yes.
I passed the test.
Well,
but you're way more spiritual than all of us.
that is
I
very
doubt
true.
that. No.
So license just allows us to do what we do in an official way at the end of the day. But Jim, you know, I'm a big believer in that 10,000 hours, and I know that you passed that a long time ago.
You're
So,
right.
yeah. Well, Jill, I want to check in with you. What's on your mind today?
Well, I'm kind of on this theme of change. Mm-hmm. And we've talked a lot about change. So kind of like, okay, change again, and looking at change from different perspectives. So focusing a little bit today on kind of smaller changes. Okay, there's the big changes in life. We're going through a divorce, we lose a job, there's a death in the family. Those are all really big changes that happen outside of us, right? But then there's these small, annoying changes that happen in life. And it's really interesting, I think, how we react to those. You know, like when our favorite drive-through donut shop closed down, where I, bought all the snacks for my kids' school.
Yes.
And now it's a pot dispensary. That change was really disturbing, and rightly so,
Yes.
although it's one addiction for the other. But still, that change is annoying. Or I don't know if you guys are as neurotic as me, but every time I go to do my online banking, in these modern times, and they change the app.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? Okay, they're forcing brain exercises on us
Yes.
and trying to teach us to be more flexible, right? Or you go to the market and they've rearranged all the aisles. So those kinds of changes are annoying. And I think we have to, and they're constant. They're constantly around us.
Yes.
And I think we have to look at how are we reacting to those external annoyances that are just a part of life.
Yes.
That really are not personal, right? And how we react to that says something about us, because I think we often, and we talk about overreaction a lot here, and when we overreact to something externally, there's usually something internally going on that we're trying to avoid.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so this is a clue. When I'm super annoyed about all the little changes, right? I need to look and say, okay, what's really going on with me? What's the bigger thing that is hard for me to deal with? So I want to control the little things,
Yes.
right? I walk into my house, I know when something's different. And my kids always laugh and they go, Mom, you notice what's different that's ours versus your piles that are sitting there.
Yeah.
I notice anything that's out of place, right? So it's harder to deal with our own piles.
Yes.
And so part of in dealing with change, okay, one, let's not take it personal. Sometimes that app is different because somebody needed a job. Somebody is making their mark, okay?
Yes.
And so how can we look at some of those things as just part of life that can roll off our back?
Yes.
And when we're dealing with the stuff internally, that's when we can deal with the external stuff better.
And I just find that to be a truth. The more at peace I am with me, the more at peace I am with the world around me.
Yeah.
The more disturbed I am with me, the more disturbed I am with the world around me.
So good.
Yeah. So there are all these resources that help us identify the disturbance in us
Yeah.
and help us move towards greater peace with ourselves, others, God, and the world. Go to our resources at newlife.com. There are so many different ways in which we can help you so that you can live better with you and with others around you. We're going to be back taking your calls right after this.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. A lot of people are in bondage from past trauma that has created an emotional web that they don't understand, and it prevents them from being free. A person that loses their temper regularly is not emotionally free. Someone who has anxiety just to get in the car and leave the house is not emotionally free. And walking around with the shame from a childhood or even a bad relationship as an adult, that is not emotional freedom, and we can help you get there.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Intensive is Saturday, September 14th. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie Mack Harris will present information on the power of our emotions, procrastination, guilt and shame, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you're with us today. We're going to go right to the phones. We're going to go to Sarah in Denton, Texas, listening on KWRD. Sarah, glad that you're with us today. Thank you for holding. Thank you for being on, and tell us what's going on in your life.
Sure. You guys have helped me so much, so I really appreciate y'all on all your hard work with, just helping everybody around the world, literally.
Oh, well, thank you.
So my best friend is a therapist, and from listening to your program, I've learned that I am assertive because I was, didn't grow up with parents that were there for me. And my husband is a people pleaser because he grew up with a mother that's very controlling, and he had no voice. So with that said, we've been married 15 years, and his mother has been inserted herself in our relationship multiple times. And I've put up boundaries. I've even called New Life about this. We prayed over it, and it actually got better for a while, but then it just kind of the same thing. She's just being nasty, and she had blocked me on Facebook, and my husband didn't tell me. And it's not the fact that she blocked me that was upsetting. It's the fact that he didn't tell me because he's a recovering addict. And I'm like, you can't hide stuff like that. We can't go back to that, but he's a people pleaser. So he was scared of everybody's reactions.
Yeah.
And so with this last incident, it just kind of came to a head on our anniversary. He's like, I'm done. I'm cutting her out. I can't do this anymore. I can't please you and have her in my life. And so anyways, with that said, he has a counselor. I don't feel like his counselor is really getting through, but that's my opinion. And I just don't want him to cut her out based on him trying to please me. So that's where we are, and that's when I was just going to get some advice. Doesn't make sense for him to cut her out because he wants to please me, because I don't ever want him to have any regrets. Life is so short, and I don't want him to have any regrets with his mom, even though she is a toxic individual.
Right. Sarah, I think there is some wisdom in that. Excuse me. Rather than work on his people-pleasing, he wants to just cut out the problem. And you're right. He's transferring the pleasing to you. So
Sure.
Even if she is difficult, we can still have difficult people in our lives. Mm-hmm. We just learn how to set the appropriate, kind of closeness and distance with them. And we appeal to them and we ask them to live within certain parameters. And when they don't, okay, then we know the choices we have to make. But so much today goes to this all or nothing. Let's just cut the person out and then the problem's gone. That's so not true. We're going to just carry it with us and recreate it. And the example that we're giving to our own children is not a good one, I think.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's where I don't want to be that, because I had to do that with my parents. I had to cut them out because they were so toxic for a while. And I just don't want that for him and then go back and regret it, just. And I'm an empath, to the utmost degree. So I can sense how my energy doesn't even like being in the same room with her, because I can just see right through her as a person. And she's not a good person. She's just not. And so that's where I can't be around her anymore just because of that. And it's just been too much trauma, and I just cannot, I just have to learn to put up boundaries as an empath. But he is he's just like, let's just cut it out. Like, our life would be so much better if she was not around. And, stuff like that, it just makes me nervous.
Well, your life might be better if she was not around, but that's not the answer. I mean, because that's not going to help him heal through some of this process. I'm thinking of two words, protect and honor. So, yeah, she's toxic, but she's the mom. It doesn't sound like she's so toxic that, you should never speak to her. And you're going to have to be patient because he's going to have to be the one who's going to get that help. But here's a phrase. This is actually a football phrase, but somebody once said, when you've strayed away from the basics, talking about football, you've gone a long ways toward defeat. I can hear you. You know the basics of boundaries. You know that stuff. And so now it's time to apply those boundaries. And usually the boundaries aren't, I'm never going to see you unless there is abuse or, there's other types of things and we may be missing it. But I would make sure that he knows those as well. And sometimes it comes better not from you, his wife, who's assertive, but it comes better from, a counselor. And let's say that your counselor had, some really great thoughts on this stuff. Say, hey, why don't you come and meet with my counselor once and let's talk about boundaries and just focus and just say, I'd like to speak on, I'd like us to talk through this. And then you kind of keep your mouth shut and let them do the work. But basics of boundaries doesn't sound like that's taking place. And you don't go from A to Z unless there's huge abuse issues. And so what he's trying to do is exactly that. He was, he's mommy's boy at one time probably. And now he's like, I'm cutting you out. He probably won't bid well long term with that. So protect, honor, and get the basics of boundaries down. You know it. I can hear in your voice and in your thoughts that you know this stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
From listening to you guys, you've helped me tremendously, honestly, like just be more assertive and also calm in the situation and less reactive and more what's the reason behind the trauma? Why is this trauma coming out as a reaction?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, that's great. Right.
And so that's
go ahead.
I've also through researching my friend helping me understand, I don't think she had a good relationship with her father.
For sure.
And I think her husband has passed, but I think that she was also the more dominant sort of one in that relationship. And now she's looking to her son as like, I need this to feed me because I didn't have a good relationship with my husband and my dad.
And what does your husband think would happen if he didn't please his mom? What's the little boy fear there?
I think the little boy is still just not. The little boy's head is just so busy still and trying to please everyone.
Yeah. So Sarah, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn this a little back to you. You had said something that, hey, his mom is really toxic. I can't stand to be around her. But he keeps pleasing her. But now that he's decided he doesn't want to be around her, you don't like that either. So you're saying, hey, I need my husband to do something about this. Oh, but not like that.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why I'm calling you.
Okay. So Sarah, there's a control mechanism inside of you.
Yes.
Because what your husband really needs to do is going to be very disturbing to you and very disturbing to his mom. Because he does not need to choose you and he does not need to choose his mom. What he hasn't done yet is choose himself.
Yes.
And Sarah, watch out. Well, I'm dead serious. When he chooses himself, it's going to be clumsy, it's going to be awkward, and it's going to be shocking.
Okay.
But that's going to be his growth.
That's good.
That's going to be him finding himself and finding his voice. And because he spent his life, so underneath the surface, I say watch out, because underneath the surface, he is seething in anger.
He is. He's boiling.
Right?
You can tell. He can't even control the emotions when we talk about it.
Because
he cries.
Because
outbursts.
Your husband has been trying his darnest, his best efforts, and he's failed the whole time.
Yep.
But what he didn't know, it was a loser's game to begin with. And that's the dilemma of the people pleaser. Is that I'm going to be okay when everyone else is pleased, but I never realize I'm not in charge of other people's pleasure.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so I want to give you guys some direction here. I really think you need to get to the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop.
I think you're right.
Yeah, okay, good. Good, because that's going to really help create a safer place for both of you to experience the authenticity and the reality of what's going on underneath the surface. Mm-hmm. And then be able to build the skills to talk about the things you guys don't talk about, or to really get to the emotions that seem scary or overwhelming. Yeah.
Right. We're just not at a place where we have people to watch our children, and we have some with some neurological issues. And so eventually, like, that is our goal, to get there. And I said 2 years ago, we need to go to this whenever he did recover.
For sure. Well, and that's part of his addictive process. He is medicating the disturbance underneath him and everyone else's displeasure. And so, yeah, and I just want to encourage you. In fact, maybe a little bit of a challenge, but mostly an encouragement, because I don't know the complexity or severity of your situation and your parenting and all that. So I want to respect that, but I want to lean in a little bit to this, okay? Because a lot of times we use the current challenges in our life to keep us from the solutions that we need. Mm-hmm. And so look at all of the resources around you and in your life, including this big resource we call God, that can help bring some things into place to open up the doors to the solutions that we need. Okay.
Yeah, so I can just pray and surrender, Lord. Find a way for these kids, for us to leave our kiddos, or I don't know.
And if I could so take the courage to go here, hearing a little bit about the control issues that you might struggle with, surrendering to God would be a great spiritual exercise for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do that and just let it be his work, because I don't want to be a part of it anymore.
No, I know. And it just sounds like you and your husband really do have a different, better marriage in front of you. We just need the right doorway to walk through to get there.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that completely.
Excellent. Well, we're going to send you a copy of How We Love, and we want you and your husband to dive into that as you get prepared for how God's going to open up the doors, if I could be so bold to say so, for you guys to attend the Intimacy and Marriage Workshop. And Sarah, thank you so much for doing your own work, for being vulnerable with us, being open and honest with us, because that's really, at the end of the day, what it takes for all of us to really engage in the process and engage in the healing and growth that God desires for us, so that ultimately we can be the people that God has designed us to be. So yeah, we're going to go right back to the phones. We got a full board here, guys, so let's keep it rolling. All right, we're going to go to Sally in Phoenix, Arizona, listening on Sirius XM. Sally, so glad that you're with us today. Tell us what's going on.
Hi. My question to you is, I've been separated from my husband since the beginning of May this year, due to, I don't know, honestly, we've been married 15 years, and I had been asking the Lord to, not only God, but him, because he was, mentally abusive. He'd have outbursts of anger. Mm-hmm. And I married him knowing this. It's not like I went into the marriage, not knowing this. But after 15 years, I said, I've had enough. I can't take it anymore. Things happened, and I left on my own. After 2 weeks of being gone, he called me back and he told me that he had changed and things were going to be different. So I went home, and I was wrong. Mm-hmm. But by this time, now I honestly believe that, because I, want to believe the good side of him, that I did believe, and I went home. But I I wasn't allowed to bring it up anymore. I wasn't allowed to bring up, all that.
I got a quick question, Sally, because we're coming up against the end of this segment right here. 2 questions. My first question is there been any infidelity in the relationship?
No.
Has there been any pornography in the relationship?
On his part, yes.
Okay, that's super helpful. And then the other question is actually your question. When we come back from the break, we're going to say, hey, here's the question for us that we can help you with. Because, Sally, you're in a painful situation. In fact, I ask about the pornography issue because we see pornography come out as anger. It shows up as control. It shows up as quick solutions, non-repentant heart. And if I can just say, again, that's why our Every Man's Battle intensive exists. Because when it shows up as painful relational patterns, there is a really unhealthy process going on underneath that. So, Sally, we're going to come back right after this.
I came kicking and screaming. The last 24 years have been filled with pain. I was violently molested and raped from the age of 6 to 13. It has changed everything in my life. This weekend for me has been life-altering. I have realized that God does love me, that this is my story, and that's okay for the first time in a long time.
This is Steve Arterburn, and this is the story of a new life. She came kicking and screaming and now has a changed life. You can be part of offering hope to others as you step out in faith by donating to New Life Ministry.
To make your tax-deductible gift, visit newlife.com and click Donate. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. That's NLM to 28950.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When 2 people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Washington, D.C. November 1st through the 3rd. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We are so glad that you are with us today. We're glad that Sally is with us. Sally, I'd mentioned you're in this painful marriage of 15 years.
Yeah.
That there has been pornography use, but your husband has been showing up, it sounds like, with a lot of anger, a lot of outbursts. Promised he would get better, and now here we are today. Right. And so what's the question for us?
The question is, because, after 4 or 5 months being separated, he sees that I'm getting strong on my end because I'm drawing near to God. I'm just reading my Bible daily. He sees that I'm not giving in to his fear and condemnation, and if you don't do what I tell you, I'm going to divorce you and you're going to get nothing. And that's not working for me. So now I think he's realizing that he needs to change or he's going to lose the marriage. And now he's once again saying, okay, I scheduled the appointment for counseling, even though I don't see how it's going to work. But now I'm not going to demand you to come home because I know you're not. So, but let's start.
So Sally, how can we help you?
So I still see, you brought up that subject of pornography, and I still see that there,
So is the question for us, what do I do about this now?
What do I do about this now? Because he's asking me, okay, I know you're not going to come home, but come meet me here, or let's meet up, or do I try now? Do I start trying?
Yes, I think so, Sally. This is exactly what you want to happen from the separation, is that he realizes he has to do something different in order to save this relationship, and the fact that he cares enough to want to save it. I mean, that's good information for you. So by all means, if he's found a counselor and wants to go, you go and you show up there.
Yes.
And you talk about the issues. Let's work on this. And that you also require him or ask of him to attend every man's battle so that he can address the pornography issues, because the pornography is putting a wedge in your relationship. How can you truly be intimate with someone who's using pornography? Mm-hmm. The whole, result of it is that it creates distance and a lack of true intimacy. It's a substitute for true intimacy. And so he doesn't know what to do. He's scared to death and has been living with this false form forever. So he has some learning to do. And if he's willing, then, you go alongside of him and see if he will be willing to go the distance.
Yeah. And, Sally, go ahead.
But see, that's the thing, is that he knows that the only thing that's going to get me on his side now and working with him is to schedule that appointment. And
so let me
great.
I think
why is that a bad thing?
Yeah, I think that's good. But also, Sally, you said something that just told on yourself.
Yeah.
What is that?
To get him on his side, to get you on his side. This isn't about sides. This is about truth. And if anyone needs to move to a side, it's him to your side, and you need to hold that ground.
Yeah.
But it's understandable that you don't trust him. So you're second guessing his motivation. But Sally, regardless of his motivation, the behavior and the step is the right move. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in the counseling, motivation and all of that can be addressed. Whatever it takes to get you guys into counseling so that you can change some of this. The motivation will come later.
Yeah.
Or the right motivation.
Okay.
So, Sally, there's a phrase.
I know.
There's a phrase that is kind of popular right now, and it says "choose your hard" or "pick your hard." And what that means is, do you choose divorce? Do you choose working on the marriage? And there's another part of that, choose your hard, because the hard part may be for you. Find out with your counselor. Find out what is a healthy relationship for. And one of it would be for him to go get help. So the hard part says you're going to have to work the process. If you want to be in this relationship, the process might be that he's been in charge. Mm-hmm. You may now need to be in charge. I'm willing to go with you to counseling if you go, but you make the call on that. I'm willing to keep in the relationship as long as you go get help for your pornography problem. I'm willing to do this. Now, the hard part is he may not do it. And then you'll have to make some decisions on it. Mm-hmm. So, part of it is life is hard. And it's hard if you stay married, and it's hard if you don't. But things have to change. What was the phrase you said? Do different, make it different.
Yes.
There was a phrase. You used the best thing. Better, make it better, different, better. Make it different, better. Well, in some ways, this has to be different, and it has to be better. And one of the ways to do that is to come up with a plan that you can live with, and if he does it, then how great.
And I think, Jim, that's really important, because it's not an either or. I either go to counseling and he wins, or I lose my voice. It's like, so Sally, you're going to go to counseling, and you're going to use your voice, and you're going to start with this template. Here's what it means to be married to me. Hard stop. These are the non-negotiables. And you're also going to tell him his words mean nothing, because they don't. His behavior means everything else, and that's where it comes into the Every Man's Battle. It's coming up here in D.C. on September 20th. He needs to show radical action right now, and we are going to send you a copy of Intimate Deception. That's going to really help strengthen your voice, but give you greater understanding on what's going on underneath the surface. So, Sally, we're going to cheer you on in this, encourage you on. Thank you for calling. We're going to be back right after this.
I'm addicted to oxycodone. I've been on oxycodone almost 3 years.
Addiction affects millions of people every year.
I've been on it for a long time, and I need to get off.
New Life can connect you with some of the finest Christian inpatient treatment programs in the country that work with people from all backgrounds and beliefs.
First it was for back pain, and I was on it for a long time. And then I currently just had shoulder surgery.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction to illegal or prescription drugs, alcohol, or dealing with an eating disorder, it's time to seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers all around the country.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or visit us online at newlife.com. 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We had mentioned Every Man's Battle, and this is just such a powerful workshop that for those of us who struggle with sexual addiction or acting out or pornography in all of its different forms, some of the things that we can't see is how many of the other areas of our lives that it deeply impacts. Jill, you were saying it, you can't, it blocks closeness. Mm-hmm. It creates a tremendous barrier to intimacy. If you're struggling with this, please, Every Man's Battle Intensive. It's coming up September 20th in Washington, D.C. We have it every month. Go to newlife.com/events, and you can see where we can help you and begin that. The one other thing I'd like to say about that, there's this movie called We Bought a Zoo. It has Matt Damon in it, right? Mm-hmm. And he's talking to his son about how he asked his mom, who had passed away, out, and the son was also sharing about how he had a crush on a girl. And Matt Damon's character said this. He said, "It took 20 seconds of courage to change my life." You know what? I know it's terrifying to jump into something like an Every Man's Battle intensive. But friends, it only takes 20 seconds of courage to change your life. So use that 20 seconds of courage. Give the call, 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Go online at newlife.com. Let us help you. Do, as Jim was alluding to, that's something I had said, do different so you can do better. Yeah. And this is the 20 seconds that could change your life. So we're going to go right back to the calls. We're going to go to Gene in Dallas, Texas, listening on KWRD. Gene, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Thank you for taking my call. I've listened to you so long and love you all so much.
Oh, well, though we don't see you face to face, that love is in return.
Thank you. Well, I have up in years, but I still get a lot of help from just listening to your advice to everybody else. And today I've got a question regarding how to approach my son, who I've already approached him on the issue, and he kind of blew me off, but he has become, he's a grown man of 51 years, but divorced, has 3 children, lost one recently. But he's become enamored also about 2 months or so with a young woman who apparently is either, I guess, enamored herself with witchcraft, or maybe, I don't know if she is participating, but her whole online information is loaded with it, and her tattoos say, just kind of scream it. She's a very nice woman. She's beautiful. She's personable. And he's, like I say, he's very, but she doesn't smoke or drink, and that's been a problem in his life. He has recently been told medically that he's got to get it together because his body is
breaking down because of some of his own habits. Yeah. And so, but he's found this woman that you have concerns for. You've seen her online profiles and seen her tattoos, and so, what is your concern with the relationship or with her?
Well, I just I believe that she is either part of the occult in some way, is a witch practice. Okay. She's also so I have said something early on. I said, I've got some concerns. I looked down, I looked at this and this, and he said, Mom, now, blah, 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 and just didn't really want to. So I don't even know if he's looked at those things. You can
for
see
sure. But what
on her?
So how can we help you in this situation?
Do you have some idea? What should I just shut my mouth? I don't get to see her. If I get around her, should I've met her.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Say, hey, tell me about. I noticed on online. Tell me, are you engaged in some of these things that? I mean, obviously she is.
So your fear is that she is engaged herself and given herself to witchcraft and participates in these sort of things in the occult. And so, before I turn this over to Jim, I want to remind you of one thing. There's this one verse in Scripture when we're kind of facing, I'll say it for myself, when I'm facing things I feel like are spiritually intimidating or overwhelming, is I have to remind myself something Jesus told his disciples, and that is, the one who is in you is stronger than the one who is in the world.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
Yeah. So Jim, as a pastor, where do we go from here?
Well, I actually think you've done your work, you've done your homework, you've talked to your son, but I would go out to dinner with them and take them out. If you've got the money to do that, I would take him out to dinner and pray about this. But if it comes up, I wouldn't do it with any kind of other agenda than just saying, hey, I noticed, that tattoo you have. Tell me about the tattoo. So now I wouldn't even take it down to the are you a witch question yet, because you're not in that kind of a relationship yet. But let's see what she says. So tell me about you. How were you, where were you born? What's your life? Just build a relationship with her. Now, again, you're going to want to bite your tongue. You're going to have to bite your tongue because you got thoughts to say. But this isn't the time to do that. This is the time to get acquainted with her, because she may say, oh my gosh, I used to be this and now I'm not. You don't know. So it sounds like from her, because she's still in social media showing that, sounds like she still is. But hear it from her. Then you don't have this fear of the unknown. And I think a lot of times we have a lot of fear because we simply don't know. And sometimes when we go to our own kids, I've done this in my own adult children, I'm like, I'm not getting any info. And so I asked, my son-in-law, hey, what's up with this? And, he's glad to tell me, because he doesn't see me as one who's going to be putting him down or judging him. Right. So, this is this takes discipline. But honestly, I would do that. Get acquainted with the person who's connecting with your son and get to know what that is. Then you have, concern that you can, talk to your son about, and then getting the discernment of, do you continue this conversation or do you just stop it? And that's where you don't have enough information yet, but some of that information could really be helped by just simply asking the question. Jill?
Yeah, what I love what you're saying, Jim, is that you really want her to lean in with curiosity.
Yeah. Right.
And to suspend, Jean, you have to suspend all judgment, because our fear wants to say, oh no, I want to protect, I want to tell them they're wrong, I want to lead them to Christ right here and there. And that approach will backfire on you when you're led by fear.
Yeah.
Okay? She's into these things. She's a lost person. She needs your prayers. Be praying for her behind the scenes. And be like Jesus to her instead of trying to, hit her over the head.
Yeah, especially when you don't,
with
especially
Bible
when you
verses
don't know her.
Right.
I have a habit, and I was telling somebody yesterday of all things, when I see somebody who's like waiting on me at a restaurant or whatever, man, woman, if it's appropriate, and I see a tattoo, I'll say, hey, tell me about that tattoo. That's it's unique. And they always have a story, and they actually like to talk about it. I've never had anybody say, I'm not going to talk to you about my tattoo. And in a different world, you're of a generation where, that probably wasn't the case, but the next generation does have those. I learn all kinds of things about people, sometimes really deep issues, by just simply saying to the waitress, that's an interesting
road.
Well,
it's an expression of them and their experience, and helping them to make sense of it.
And they're going to tell you. So, that kind of conversation, and I love what you said. As Christ followers, our job is not to pound it into their head the very first time. In fact, that's going to make them run as fast as they can.
And feel judged and criticized.
No, exactly. So what it puts them in disequilibrium when we can love someone, as Jesus did, by the way, he always led with love. Love someone. I mean, think about this. He put prostitutes in disequilibrium because he didn't put them down immediately. The only people put down were the hypocrites and the leaders in the synagogue, right? So he showed love, and that response is so much different.
Love the witch out of her.
Yeah.
Well, because I think the right question is not, can I see the devil in you? It's, can you see the love of Christ in me?
Yes.
Right? So my job is for you to see the love of Christ in me, not necessarily for me to see the devil in you.
Yeah.
But again, we understand that this is hard because this is your son. He's been through a hard relationship.
Right.
You don't want him to go through another one, but you got to let him kind of figure it out.
And he's in his 50s, Gene.
Absolutely.
You don't get a lot of say-so in who he chooses.
Yeah. So, Gene, we're gonna send you a copy of Every Believer's Thought Life. And that also helps us get a little bit more of a handle on our own anxieties and what's going on beneath the scenes for us. But we're going to really encourage you, again, for all of us, for me being first in line, I need to ask myself the question, do people see the love of Christ in me before I see the devil in them? We'll be back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. Again, we are so grateful that you are with us. I also want to thank our Club New Life members, and I want to invite you to join Club New Life. These are people who partner with us monthly to help us usher in new life, better life, and change in others. Besides the joy of knowing they played a part in the transformation of others, members get exclusive benefits. Some of those include downloads with our teaching, ministry updates, quarterly Zoom meetings, and New Life Senior leaders. I know I'm looking forward to the one coming up in November. I'll be joining that one. And again, you've heard maybe on a previous show that Club New Life members do get priority placement when they give us a call. And so, if you're listening to the show, you're a Club New Life member, take advantage of that. But if you're listening to the show and you're not a Club New Life member, become one. And so it helps us tremendously. And most importantly, it helps those who we help. And that's the heartbeat of why we do what we do, and the heartbeat of why we ask people to financially partner with us, because we are moving the needle in God's kingdom on planet Earth. As I like to say, we are thinning the veil, and really God thins the veil. We are participating in thinning the veil between heaven and earth. Another cool feature is that there are a lot of people that listen to the show, but for whatever reason can't call in. But that doesn't mean your question cannot be answered. Your dilemma cannot be wrestled with us in this format. And one of those is Jennifer. And she writes in, I never get acknowledgement that I have sent a birthday card, a gift, or other types of things to my 4 nieces. And she asks this, is it okay to quit? Will God think less of me? So here's the backstory. For years, she says, I've acknowledged my 4 nieces, all married, both with adult, small children. She's acknowledged them with birthday cards and gifts and texts. And there is not an acknowledgement of the mailed gifts. She says, I have asked my sister to let them know in case I need to trace the package. She said, when I see them, they don't speak and have literally turned their backs on me. I'm not aware of offending them, but have asked and they don't respond. My sister says they have said nothing to her. She says, I don't want to continue acknowledging their birthdays, etc., but my sister and friends say that that is not Christ-like loving response, and that I need to take the higher road. I am now doubtful that they will change, but I'm really tired of getting my feelings hurt. So Jennifer's just in this really tough dilemma. She's reaching out to her nieces, acknowledging them in their birthdays and their texts.
There's 4 of them?
Yes.
And are these adult nieces
they are
now?
Adult, yes.
Okay. And we don't know what their relationship has been.
We don't have the nature of the relationship, but we know that these nieces aren't acknowledging their aunt back.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And of course, we all like to, part of acknowledging people is to stay in relationship with them, right? And so it's hard when you get 0 feedback. I think the tendency is to maybe stop or to maybe pull back some. Certainly if you're sending them gifts and they never acknowledge, at some point it's like, okay, I'm going to use my resources elsewhere. But sometimes the younger generation doesn't feel the need to kind of speak out loud what they are feeling internally.
Yes.
I always talk about how we internalize the adults in our lives and we carry them inside of us. And it could be, oh, this is my aunt. Oh, she's wishing me a happy birthday. And this is part of my family framework that makes me feel good. But I forget that she's a person.
Yes. Yeah.
And yet, those little things that you do, I know I have nieces and nephews, and I send them a text. I don't send them a card. I never see them, but I want to say, but I'm still here.
Yes.
And I remember that it was your birthday.
Yeah.
And so over the years, I've seen older generations in my life where they've had that consistent contact in the background. And I've talked about my aunt before. When she passed, I could not believe how the younger people loved her and felt so loved by her
Yes.
because of her little contacts that she consistently made with them.
Yeah.
So we have to decide, and we have to say, is this something that I'm just going to chalk up to ministry because it's I feel like it's the right thing to do, or is this something where I feel like I'm being taken advantage of?
So a way of saying that, Jill, is I'm doing this because this is who I am, not because how you're going to respond to it. So that would be an option of approach
to
take.
Look at, am I doing this just out of obligation and duty, and with the expectation that you should have the same obligation and duty
I
back?
think that's a really good point.
Because then I'm just resentful.
Yeah.
So I think we have to examine our heart a little bit, maybe adjust how much we invest if someone is making it clear they're not really going to have ongoing relationship with us.
Yes.
And modify accordingly in terms of what we want the message to be.
Yeah.
And, I honestly don't think I could add to that. Both answers are right.
Yeah.
And this is where it's always hard. Certain
True.
things, there's no right or wrong answer. I think where her sister is saying it's unchristlike to give.
That's a little bit of a guilt.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me because, but I think about my wife. She's that person who does that. And I know that there's some family members. Of course, I want to say it's on her side, not of course on my side.
Of course, yeah.
Definitely not on your side.
Right.
That was a given.
Of course. But, that don't respond. And I know it kind of flusters her, but I see her keep doing it. And it's not much. She's sending a Starbucks card with a gift or something.
Sure.
But, I mean, with a card. How cool that she does that. And yet, she kind of feels that's her ministry. And who knows what is going on. And some things we sow, and we don't really know how it's reaping, and maybe it'll reap later, like you said about your aunt. Others, you just kind of, you say, what, if she's over it, she could write a card. She doesn't need to send him a gift if they're not going to acknowledge, but just let them know, hey, I thought about your birthday today. Happy birthday. How cool. I love those kinds of things. I don't always respond if somebody gives me a birthday card.
Yeah.
Right.
I try to say thank you to. So that's the hard thing. And you use the word discernment, Jill. And sometimes I think we actually need to listen to what God is prompting us to do. Because I think sometimes he goes, hey, there's no wrong or right answer. You can use Crest toothpaste or Pepsodent. Both work for your teeth. Just do one or the other. Well, both work.
You could make a case.
Exactly. And so that's where it's harder.
Right.
She doesn't want to listen to all the voices coming from her sister. I mean, she really wants to listen primarily to her voice, what's in her head, and what she thinks the Lord is leading her to do. And it's as simple as that. I mean,
right. I'm glad she went to her sister,
Cool.
though. It's a little bit
Yes.
surprising that the sister doesn't have better feedback,
Right,
and that may be
right.
part of the problem. The
Right.
sister didn't teach
Yeah.
her kids it's polite
Exactly.
to acknowledge.
Yes.
We have some.
Could be as simple as that.
Yeah, we have some family members on my side now who, honestly, I don't think they were taught how to do that. So it's like they don't respond. We invite them to a party and then they just show up. But they didn't do the RSVP. We go, seriously, guys. But the point being is they honestly weren't taught that way. Now, would it be inappropriate for her to say, hey, I'm not making a big deal out of it, but I just want to make sure that you got my gift.
Yeah.
That's hard to do, but it may help her discern what she should keep doing, because the answer may be, oh, I'm so thankful, and I'm just so bad at writing to you, but I'm so grateful.
But I think this all comes down to what motivation do you have inside of you, what expectation, and then how do you adjust it to reality?
Yeah. No, it's great.
And
that's great for everybody who's been on the show today.
Right. Yes. And for ourselves, right?
Exactly.
And adjusting my expectations to reality, and then what do I want to do with this?
Right. Good stuff.
And I think that again, when it comes to relationship and trying to find that discernment, I always say start with reality. Reality is the raw. Reality is always the raw material.
Is your friend.
So I really appreciate all of you for making us a reality in your day, in your reality, in our day. We encourage you to tune in. We'll be on air tomorrow. Thank you for being with us. Be well.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.